What's going on, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages, Joker back again, once again, and I have a confession to make. That's right, you've caught me. I've been lying for years. I'm actually really, truly a Destiny hater. I mean, sure, I've put countless hours into playing this game and making content, but that was clearly all for that monetized millions of dollars that I'm making each and every video, and it could never, ever have anything to do with actually loving the franchise, but disagreeing with the direction that it takes from time to time. Nope, You either love everything Bungie does at all times, or you're a toxic hater. It really is as simple as that. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. If you're not simping for Bungie, then you're against Bungie. It's a tragic reality within certain spheres of the Destiny community that nuance is fucking dead. They took it out back, they shot it in the head, and didn't even have the decency to put it in a shallow grave. A disturbingly large, vocal, and outright toxic part of the Destiny community have a very "you're either with us or against us" mentality. It's why you constantly see the comment,
"Well, if you don't like Destiny, then stop playing."
Or ergo decido, Latin for therefore leave, or the treacherous critic fallacy, which denotes responding to the criticism of a critic by implying that the critic is motivated by undisclosed favorability or affiliation with an outgroup rather than responding to the criticism itself. The fallacy implicitly alleges that the critic does not appreciate the values and customs of the criticized group, or is treacherous, and thus suggests that the critic should avoid the question or topic entirely, typically by leaving the criticized group. This is why what I'll call more positive Destiny content creators like Astacross, Fallout, Datto, and even streamers like Glad will still get shit anytime they criticize Destiny. This is because it's not about how much positive content you make. It's never been about how much positive content you make, nor is it about how nicely you argue your points. It will always boil down to, you said something negative about Destiny, how dare you? All the other tone policing BS is just that, tone policing BS. It's an excuse. It's something to attack because they can't attack the argument. This, of course, is a weak mindset that comes from the mentality that if people talk about what's wrong with the game and it doesn't get fixed, then perhaps people will realize just how bad the game is and leave, and then it will die. And people have to defend their hobby at all cost because oftentimes, for a lot of people, it's more than just a hobby. It's part of their identity. And oftentimes, these people like the idea of liking the game more than they like the game itself. Here's the thing. If you constantly have to hear nothing but positive things about the game you play, or the things that you invest your time into, if you can't sit back and think about it critically, do you really like that thing, or are you trying to convince yourself that you like it? In my opinion, the highest form of praise is being critical about something, because that means that thing is worth talking about, analyzing, and being critical of. So I want to thank all of my haters, because your hate of me is truly the purest form of validation. Chef's kiss. It means I'm doing something right. I have arrived, I've made it as a YouTuber. That's why, regardless of anything I say this video, there will be comments, like with every video, that are based purely off the title and the thumbnail. That's where the vast majority of my hate comments come from, like 99%. People making assumptions based off of the title and the thumbnail. Shit like,
"But Joker, you say Destiny takes no skill!"
when the argument presented was Destiny's skill gap is common sense. You know, the same skill gap that every shooter has. If you take common sense out of the equation, things like aim for the head and map knowledge, what's left? What is Destiny's skill gap? What is unique to Destiny? Well, if you take common sense off the table, which as we've described is base level competency at a shooter, all you have left is a game with a ton of mechanics that play the game for you, that make the game super easy, that reward you for playing bad. This is why arguments like,
"But Joker, if Destiny takes no skill, then 1v1 Punda,"
are nonsensical. If the goal is simply not to lose, then I could glitch out of any given PvP map, either after getting a kill or at the start of the game, winning or forcing the game into a tie. Destiny doesn't have a suicide penalty, so I could just kill myself on spawn for 5 minutes, because the only condition here in this hypothetical 1v1 is not to lose. And a tie is not a loss. Now, does that take skill? Does that suddenly mean I'm the best Destiny player in the world? No. But by the logic of, if you won, so you're better, then I would be. But nobody in their right mind is going to agree to that because there are always caveats. You have to play a certain way for the game to require skill. This is also why
But Joker, the scrim settings take a lot of skill.
But again, this is a non-argument as well, as most scrim and tournament settings require gutting large portions of the game for it to be even remotely competitively viable. Which means the base game takes no skill to play, outside of basic shooter skills, which is a universal shooter skill set, not a Destiny skill set. And to drive the point home even further, if you look at the rules for some of these tournaments and scrims, they're still just playing an easier version of Halo, one that gives you a bunch of free kills every 3 minutes. And to underline a point that I think a lot of people miss when I say Destiny takes no skill, in that first video I said, you know what? It takes no skill, so let's embrace that. If Destiny can't be a competitive shooter like Halo, Counter-Strike, or Overwatch, then don't try to force it to be. And of course, as it happens, time tends to vindicate me. This whole controversy over me saying Destiny takes no skill was then made even funnier when True Vanguard made a relatively similar video. And then, just a couple of days ago, there was a huge shit fit on the internet about tournament settings. See, it's almost like if they don't restrict things and ban things and remove access to things in tournaments, the game takes no skill. Gasp, shock, horror. Lightning crackle, lightning crackle, lightning crackle. But you know what? That's probably one of the more polarizing examples where I got a lot of hate because people just didn't listen to the argument. And I can understand people having a knee-jerk reaction to being told that, yeah, so what? You put a lot of time into something that you're still bad at. And that thing doesn't take skill. But like I was saying, I do think most of my haters, and this isn't just a me thing, this is a universal truth of YouTube, most haters don't bother to watch the video. Or when they do, their comprehension of what's being said is often quite appalling. And sometimes you have to wonder if that's a failing on your part as the creator of the video. Did I perhaps not explain something to the best of my abilities? But then you see it's like a handful of people that have this catastrophically poor understanding of what you've said, and then there's tens of thousands of people that get it. So clearly, if tens of thousands of people understand what's going on in the video and what the argument I'm making is and what's being said, and this other handful of people don't, well, then clearly the failing is on them, not the content creator. And I say content creator, not me, because this is something, like I said, that is universal to YouTube. Sometimes people just don't want to understand, or worse, sometimes people just make a bad faith interpretation of everything that you've said. For example, in my video about Destiny's toxic fanboys, some brain trust of human evolution, through some Herculean leap in logic that us mere mortals will never be able to comprehend, somehow came to the conclusion that I was calling Astacross a liar. Like, Nani the fuck bro? How the absolute fuck do you come to that conclusion? I wasn't aware that taking everything somebody said at face value and presenting it in their own words, then saying, well, I believe everything that you said was true at the time, clearly a year has passed and plans have changed, to some extent. That's just me pointing out abject reality and why you don't even flirt with breaking NDAs, because plans change. That's just common fucking sense. No matter how careful you plan a plan, something will still go wrong with it. You know what they say about the best laid plans of men and rats. But I see stuff like that all the time. Or outright lies, like apparently I harass Bungie devs, Nani. Or like when Forsaken came out and I did my review of Forsaken, that I said Forsaken was bad. Like what? I gave Forsaken an 8 out of 10 and really only criticized the padding at the beginning, which hurt narrative flow, and how the story stumbled in the transition between spaghetti western and space opera, kinda feeling like two incomplete stories that were smashed together and driven purely by the death of Cade. A death that really didn't need to happen to have the player hunt down Aldrin. That's not hate, that's criticism. But nuance is dead within aspects of the Destiny community. You're either a hardcore fanboy or you're a hater. This is why fanboys hate my
But Joker
joke. Which is not to be confused with people that just don't like that voice, a valid criticism. No, what I'm talking about are the people who get offended by it, because it's mocking them, or they say it's rude, or it's sarcastic, or it's not mature. I've seen people also try to say that it's a straw man, people who clearly don't know what a straw man is. A straw man is misrepresenting an argument, which I don't do. I merely present it in a mocking way. Rude? Yeah, sure, but it's far from a straw man. Don't want your argument mocked? Present better arguments in the comment sections and on Twitter. Speaking of comment sections and Twitter, another one that I really enjoy is when people come at me and talk all kinds of shit while trying to argue a point. Something that, honestly, I can respect. But when I start to clap back, well, suddenly I'm the jerk. Lol, what? So you have people who are all like,
Joker is such a jerk to people that disagree with him.
no, I was a jerk because they were being a little shit that just so happened to disagree with me. Point is, there will always be haters. People who refuse to understand what you're saying or simply don't care. They just want to talk shit. And you know what? That's fine. It's always going to happen. I love my haters because they give me no end of entertainment. I love mocking them. Like, these people are so pathetic that they literally attack other people over their opinion on a fucking video game. Like, how fucking sad do you have to be? So, they're just incredibly fun to mock and retweet because I don't think a lot of them expect the banter. The one thing though that truly does annoy the piss out of me are these smooth brain motherfuckers that don't have a concept of nuance. That don't understand that you can like something and be critical of it. That, in fact, if you want something to get better, you need to be critical of it. Destiny 2 would still be as bad as it was year 1 if people didn't bitch. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Remember to like, but only if you did. Subscribe for more. Feel free to donate to my Patreon if you're feeling particularly generous. But above all else, stay frosty.